Welcome to Trust AI Partners, where we dive into the cutting edge of tech innovation. Join us as we explore how AI automation is transforming the industry, helping businesses scale revenue, slash costs, and unlock new levels. If you're ready to discover the future of AI innovation and how your company can get ahead, stay tuned and connect with us for more information. Don't forget, if you would like to support the show, like and subscribe. My name is Jim Hoover. Today, we're joined by Jonathan Wolk, founder of Wolk 360, one of the few fully integrated architecture, real estate, and construction firms. With over 25 years of experience, Jonathan has built a turnkey solution that helps owners go from acquisition to design, build, and completion with total confidence. From residential renovations to 100,000 square foot projects, Wolk 360 delivers seamless results on time and on budget. Let's dive in. Jonathan, Wolk 360 brings together architecture, real estate, and construction under one roof, which is pretty unique. What first inspired you to create such an integrated model?
It really came back from way back when I built my sister's cabin in Alaska. And one of the things that really struck me was I did the design for her and then went up over the course of a couple long summers essentially and built it with her. And what I liked about the process was being very hands-on as coming from a designer as an architecture school at the time. And I went to UNC Charlotte, which really had a history of design build and building what you've designed and understanding that process. And it was a key part of the process, and also how much design is part of the construction process and that they're really integrated. And at that same time, really what you were seeing was the popularity of Apple computers versus the PC computers. And what I really liked about Apple was the way they essentially integrated software and hardware. And to me, that was the same thing. Was if you think of architecture as the software and construction as the hardware, integrating that process. And so that's really where that came from. And then further along the line, what I discovered was another key component was real estate. So a lot of times as you're starting, whether it's a development project or a home renovation project, that understanding that at the time when you're actually looking at the real estate is a further part of the integration. So understanding and being able to look at real estate with an architect and a construction eye to it also helps you understand whether it's best use or functionality or whatever. And so that really became the next piece of the concept of the Wolk 360.
That's awesome. So you're a Mac guy.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
I would say I'm an iPhone guy.
Okay.
The real problem with that is Macs just aren't, even though they're great design tools with architecture design programs, they're really not there. And so you're kind of forced to be in a PC world, but where I can, I do like to be a Mac guy.
Yeah, makes sense. So it's construction has always been a personal passion of mine, outside and prior to my career in the construction field. And I'm always probably not much different than you when you travel, especially internationally. Is one of the most interesting things is to see how the architecture shifts, evolves from country to country. And so I'm curious on a personal level, because I imagine you have a wide range of projects that you've seen that you have worked on in the past. What type of projects get you the most excited these days?
For me, it's really anything that's interesting or meaningful, right? So where we tend to do best is where it's somebody's home or somebody's business that they're passionate about, as opposed to just somebody that's looking for return on investment. We do that work as well, and we do that with clients, but they were not the quintessential lipstick on a pig client, somebody that wants to do a quick flip or something along those lines. It's more somebody that wants to do something inherently meaningful, or they want to do a very quality job and still get their return on investment. That's always a key component, or something that we keep our eye on, but it can't drive bad decisions. And that's what we see a lot of times that happens with those, is that they sometimes sacrifice the quality for the ROI, and that's not what we do. And so, really, for me, we've done a lot of residential because I think a lot of people really put their interest in where they're going to live, especially if it's like a forever home, or a lot, for most people it's the biggest investment of their lives. And so that's really what inspires us. But I mean, we've done playhouses, we've done small, very small projects, and it's really about the meaningfulness of it that excites us.
So the 100+ unit cookie cutter development is not your cup of tea.
It's not. Listen, we do it and we've done it. It's just we're not. That's not our business model. And there's other people out there that probably do that better. But we've done them. And I mean, we've done hotels and hospitality and restaurants and all kinds of things like that. And so it's but it takes the right client, like you said, sort of the cookie cutter, hey, just change the title block kind of thing. That's not the work that we do.
Got it. I appreciate that. Can you give us a sense of the size and scale of your business today?
We do, we do everything from, in terms of construction cost, $50,000 to $100,000 sort of addition renovations, it's all, to $2-3 million, custom homes. We do some commercial fit ups, some restaurants that might be a few $100,000. Looking at, a couple of church projects. We tend to fit in terms of project scope and scale. We sort of fit in that little tweener spot, right? We're not really doing the $5,000-$10,000, handyman kind of renovations that's perfect for those kinds of guys that don't necessarily need to be licensed to do the work. Up to like the $2 or $3 million, projects where it's not, we're unlimited licensed general contractors, but most unlimited licensed general contractors are doing more like $10 million type projects and stuff like that. So we kind of fit that tweener. Also for us, it's negotiated. It's we're not bid guys. We don't go out and bid, 5 painters and 5 tile guys. We've got a crew that we've been working with for about 10 years. And those are our guys, and we know how they work. They know the quality. They know what we're looking for. And so really it's about bringing them in, making them part of the process so that we're working out the budget and the construction costs with the owner, so that the owner knows what those costs are. And if we've got to adjust scope or scale or something, we can do that. But we're doing that with the input from our crews.
How far a territory are you servicing?
We're really the Triangle area, so Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill in North Carolina. Architecturally, we do work kind of all over the state. We've done we've in the past, we've done projects up and down the East Coast and out West and somewhat all over the world. But in our currently, really, we're very focused. Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill consistently gets rated as one of the best places to live and do business and all those things. And so it's kind of like, why go out of this area when everybody's coming to this area? There's really no reason to go to go out of this area to search for work when everybody's coming here. So we've really, and that's really part of our business model, is working with those crews that we've been working with for years. And so if we kind of go out and beyond that, then we've got to bring in people that we've either got to get our guys to travel, or we've got to bring in people that are like-minded, and we've got to vet them and seek them out. And so, we don't really need to go much beyond sort of Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill.
Yeah, having the right crew that's dependable, that you can trust, is a rare commodity these days in the construction world.
And it's hard, and they're busy, and we're struggling with tariffs and availability and crews, and when you've got a relationship with these guys, they respect the relationship, right? And so, whereas opposed to going out and finding somebody new or taking the low bidder, which is what I explain to my clients a lot of time. Okay, you might save $1,000 on this paint bid by going with the low guy who I don't know, who's got no loyalty or allegiance to us or this project. We don't know their quality. We don't know their, we try to vet their financial strength, but we've had problems in the past where, you pay somebody a deposit and they disappear. Right. And so those are real risks with subcontractors that you don't necessarily know or have a working relationship with. And so it's, I'd rather spend the extra $1,000 for the surety and the quality. And most of our clients are, agree to that. And a lot of times we'll try out people, the client has an electrician or a painter, somebody they've worked with before or know, or whatever the case may be. They've got a relationship, maybe their cousin, whatever the case may be. And that's how we do get new people into the mix and how we meet them. But it always works best if it comes from some kind of current or ongoing relationship.
How about in terms of employees, and how many active projects do you have going right now?
So in real estate, we've got a few active projects right now. In design, we've probably got about a dozen or so active projects. And in construction, we've got about 4 or 5 between both construction and budgeting and kind of, work on the boards that's getting ready for construction. And really we do everything, we're a classic, in the general construction sense, a classic general contractor, where we do project management and run the jobs and contract management and schedule management. And then, all the work, quote unquote, the work is subcontracted out. So, framing, drywall, trades, tile, finishes, cabinets, that's all subcontracted out. And that gives us that, rather than us trying to have that and keep those guys busy, we're able to go and have established these relationships with some of the best guys in the business that deliver the quality and have the shops and have the expertise. One of the questions I get a lot from our clients is, oh, well, what's the, well, why is this, or how is this, done, or why did they do this? And I've gotten really good in my years. You can see the gray hair has, I've gained the ability to say, I don't know, much better than when I was younger. And I don't know, I'll get you the answer. But that's why I hire these guys. They're the experts, right? So if it's a plumbing question, I might not know the specific answer, but let me ask my plumber and get you that answer and understand his explanation and make sure you're comfortable with either why he's doing something a certain way, or a product he's using, or whatever the case may be. And if you have a product that you prefer, let me talk to him about that so we can see why he likes that or doesn't like that. There's many ways to skin a cat. And in construction, especially, I mean, in design, first off, you can design it one way. Again, something I learned very early in my career, you can design it one way, and that doesn't mean it's the only way. And you get the feedback from your crew, and they can inform you, hey, what is it that you're looking for? If you're looking for a particular look or aesthetic or quality of what's happening, I can do this for you a different way than you've designed it. And that's the part that I love. I love that feedback and going back and forth with the crews of understanding that and getting that input. And that's really where the design process really does continue into the construction process. And when you don't, when people do it the traditional way, okay, go get a design, hand it off to this contractor, the contractor goes off, the designer doesn't see the project until it's complete. There's a lot of that doesn't get conveyed or carried through the design or the construction. And that's really too what I like about the real estate component is when you start either looking at a property or a building that you're going to renovate for your client, you gain a lot of information and what is important to them, right? And what's imperative. And so you might look at a property and there's something about that building that they just love, and okay, that's why I'm buying this building. Well, then we carry that through the design process and we remember, okay, well, this is a priority as part of the design. And then in the construction process, okay, this is a priority as part of the execution of that design and why they bought this building. If you're handing that off every step of the way, that onus is on the owner to convey that importance. Whereas with us, with an integrated team, we carry that from step to step to step, because we know why those decisions were made and what's imperative and why that's not an option for a term that I hate, but value engineering change or a budget cut or, oh, this is expensive. Well, we've got to look somewhere else because this is why they bought the building, right? They bought the building because of this. Well, we're not going to then cover it up. We want to celebrate it. So if we've got to make some budget decisions, it's got to come from somewhere else, or the owner's got to tell us that they're changing, they're changing their attitude or their reason or their business plan has changed or whatever it is. They're making that conscientious decision to change it, but we understand why it was an imperative from the beginning. And that seamless approach is really the value to both the owner and throughout the whole design, real estate design construction process.
And so I'm curious, with so many moving parts of your business, where is it at this stage of your career that you're focusing most of your time and attention?
It's really all of it, quite frankly. Because for me, somebody asked me one time, they were like, well, how do they know when you're talking to a real estate agent, the architect, or the contractor? And because I'm all three, you're always talking to the real estate agent, the architect, and the contractor. I can't get an out of body experience and say, okay, now you're talking to the architect and now you're talking to the contractor. And it's really that's the part that I love about it. And as you were talking about earlier, like in Europe and Asia, that's really how they do it on the design and construction side. Those are really integrated processes. In Europe and Asia, a lot of the big construction companies, the architecture and engineering firm is a component of that construction company. And so for us, it's really bringing that integration. And that's the part that I love about it, is that you have that understanding, and the value add for our clients and partners is that we're always thinking that way.
Yeah, got it. And so what would you say your single biggest challenge today that your organization's facing?
I think it's really managing. Well, this summer it's been managing weather. Has really been the single biggest challenge. We've had probably the rainiest summer on record, and it's been at every step of the way where we've wanted to be doing site work. But there's things I tell my clients. There's three things I cannot control. I can't control the weather, so that's always a factor. I can't control inspectors. So either when they show up, what they're going to say, what they want us to do, we're kind of at their, whim and disposal. We can make cases and arguments and all that, but ultimately they're the final authority. And I can't control you, the client. So if you want to do it like we were talking about earlier, if you want to do an about face on a on a on something specific, or you want to add something, or you want to change something, that's completely up to you. I can give you guidance and direction, but if you say, "Hey, I want to add an extra 1,000 square feet," then you're going to add to your budget. If you say, "Hey, I want to pull an extra 1,000 square feet," yeah, it's going to deduct from your budget. But how far along are we? Um, and one of the things I really like to share with our clients, and what's really great about the process, is it's so much easier and less expensive to make changes on quote unquote on paper or on the computer, and move a wall 6 inches or 12 inches or a foot or whatever, or eliminate it completely, than it is when you're in the field and it's already studs and drywall and electricals in there. That's where it gets expensive. And so, yeah, it might cost you some money to make those changes now, but it costs you a lot less to do it now than when we're in the field. Um, and so sometimes those are the challenges: managing and managing expectations, controlling budget. Um, Costs fluctuate. Conditions always fluctuate. We always build into our budgets contingency. So depending on the scope of the project, we'll have a certain amount of contingency, and that's to help budget for those unforeseen conditions. There's always going to be surprises. Nobody likes them. We hate them. Owners hate them, but they're always there. And that surprise could come from something in the ground, something an inspector wants or requests or requires, a code change. I mean, it can be a variety of different things. And that's why we always carry that contingency. If we don't need it, or we only use some of it, then the owner can have that money to spend on what they want or have it back. But it just helps those budget issues where you're not surprised, and all of a sudden you have a kind of like a cash call situation that you're not prepared for.
Are there any parts of those operational issues that could be uh, helped by leveraging technology or new software products?
Yeah, with the kind of construction we do is again, we're sort of that tweener, right? So we're always struggling to find the best fit technology for what we're doing. If we were, these multi-million-dollar construction companies and design firms, they have all kinds of, automation and stuff like that, because their projects kind of warrant it. With us, it is a challenge because it's still a very low tech business when it comes right. I mean, we still use hammer and nails. We still, dig ditches with shovels. And so, and the guys, and the size companies that we use, there a lot of them are doing the work, or they might have a small crew. And so a lot of the technology comes on the design side, where we really are using a lot of 3D visualization and building the model, so that you're really sort of building the building on the computer before you're building it in reality. And that helps identify a lot of conflicts and things that you might not have seen if you're just looking at it 2D. And then really, the best is communication, is scheduling, and communication and updating is really the best technological advance, because it's keeping everybody abreast of what the expectation is, what we need them to do, who's showing up today, who's expected to show up today. If they're not showing up today, why are they not showing up today? Because if they don't, it's not just the work that they're doing, but it's the work that comes behind them. So a lot of that follow up and follow through is really where technological integration has been the most at the scale of projects that we do, so that we're essentially staying on top of the crews, and the crews are able to respond back and, hey, we thought we were going to need 3 days to do this, we got it done in 2 days, so now you can get these guys in earlier. Or, hey, it's projected to rain all week, and we were going to be running underground electrical, and we're not going to be able to be out there for 2 weeks because it's rained all week, and now we need like a week for the ground to dry out before we get there. And then how does that impact schedule, or what's the workaround? And how do we schedule that in? So for us, the technology has really been on the design side, and then on the communication side in construction.
And so, do you think there's another part of your business that could benefit from leveraging solutions that are out there that maybe you haven't seen yet?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that I've been really interested in and been looking at is really the schedule management and the, like I said, the follow up and follow through, and some of the AI and automation that I've seen in that where it's like you plug in a schedule, and then it says, okay, so on Monday, so and so and so and so and so and so are supposed to be on site, right? And they've got 2 days to do the work. Well, you can automate that check-in, right? So Friday they get an update. Hey, you're expected to be on site. They then send back an automation. They send back a confirmation. Yep, we're going to be there at 9 a.m. Monday at 9 a.m. Okay, are you on site? Or yes, we're on site. So a lot of that is really what we've been exploring, because that is so much of what, and then that way too, it's not just communication between myself and the sub or the trade or the vendor, right? The delivery from materials. It's showing the whole team, or the whole team that might be involved in that, what is happening. And then that way they're able to follow through with and be informed, right? So like I might be the plumber and you're going in and doing the framing, and I see, okay, I might not necessarily care about the framing work, but I'm seeing that the framing is getting delivered. I'm seeing that the framers got the delivery, the framers on schedule to be done by the end of the week, which means that next Monday I can be on schedule to come in and start my plumbing rough in. So that's the part that's the integration that I think is exciting, and I think works to scale with our industry, and where the crews of this size, it makes sense as well.
And so then, thus far, you've been communicating through the traditional platforms and basically doing all that part of the business manually.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha. And
that is time consuming, because that's really a big, as being the general contractor and managing the schedule. That's the big component of, the project manager, the superintendents is tracking that. I mean, and no disrespect, it's a glorified babysitter. You said you were going to show up at such and such a time. Did you show up at such and such a time? Did the delivery show up at such and such a time? Managing all of that can be automated, frees us up for really being able to focus on the, really the important stuff, and
yeah,
the exciting stuff, which is the design and the execution.
yeah, no doubt. And you could also have other people that you're employing doing a lot of those same menial tasks,
Yeah, exactly. It's
right?
it's incredibly time consuming, and the more you can automate that, the more people can be doing the more important, the more important, meaningful work, as opposed to just being on the phone constantly checking on deliveries, orders, people showing up, weather, all those kinds of things.
Are there any specific software products or AI solutions that you've looked at so far that have caught your interest?
I mean, really, so far, the simple answer is no. We're using traditional things like Microsoft Project, Excel. We use, Slack channels, text, email, so, um, finding that right size solution for us. Again, there's products out there that work great if we were doing 10-20 million dollars a
Yeah.
year. We're like, $3-4 million a year. We're small, so like investing $100,000 into a software solution isn't practical for us.
Yeah.
And so it is difficult to find that right size solution for a small firm like ours.
And how about in terms of the KPIs of the business? Are there any CRM or ERP dashboards that you're using outside of the traditional, Excel sheets and doing things manually?
Yeah, again, it for what I find with a lot of those with the CRMs, and we've tried them, and again, that's not my specialty, but what we find is and where we struggle with those solutions, whether it's Monday or Salesforce or things, is a lot of those you've got to have somebody that actually manages to that software.
Hmm.
And you almost have to have to use it efficiently and readily and updated. You really have to have somebody that is their job, and that's really been the struggle with it. Is both a capability issue, but also a management issue of it, and then getting that out to the crews and all the people so that they're all using it on a regular basis and looking at it and checking it, and they're able to provide an update to it. So I mean, we've tried all the different the construction apps like Joist, and I can't think of any of the other names, right? The Jobber I think is one, but there's so many, but they're just, you've got to get everybody else wanting to participate in it, and that's the hard part. And so finding that solution, again, kind of going back to the Mac, right, is finding that one size fits all integrated solution that I can train my framer and say, here, look, I can teach you to use this app in 5 to 10 minutes on your phone. Download the app. Here's what you need to do. Bup, and now just follow along. That's the struggle. We can use it all day long, but if those guys aren't using it, it falls apart really quickly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And how about in terms of marketing, Jonathan? What strategies have proven the most effective in generating enough qualified leads?
Yeah, for us, we've got a great website, really showcases our work. A lot of people find us through that. Social media, people love us on social media. Some of the problems with social media is if somebody loves us from California, that doesn't really generate any business for us, but it's nice to be appreciated and get the accolades. And so really it's, for us, it's been very traditional. It's people see our sign, referrals. People do see our work, they get excited about it, they reach out to us. We've been doing this for, like you said at the beginning, hard to believe, been doing this for about 25 years now. And, and so, we've been around, we've been mostly in the Triangle area in that time. So it's really, people see us, they know us, they see something we've done, and they reach out, and we try to reach out as much as we can when we know somebody is looking. One of the challenges, and again, we've kind of looked at a technological solution, is we are very local, and we're very we're not very, we do some B2B, but most of our business is really B2C. And so we've tried like the traditional home shows and things like that, and it's a difficult environment in B2C, and that's really where social media has served us the best. Is that if I'm a homeowner and I'm thinking of either buying a home or renovating my home or building a new home, and I look and I say, hey, I want to, who's doing cool stuff, and Wolk 360 pops up, and they can see some of our videos and some of the stuff we've done, then they reach out and have a conversation.
Have you ever done an SEO audit on your website to see where the traffic is coming from?
We've done it a couple times. We're in the process of doing that now, and that's what I'm saying, is like, it's funny, it comes from all over, so and that's the struggle is it's great to get people admiring our work from all over. Um, but really, to make the phone ring, it's really got to be the triangle area, right? And so again, it kind of comes to that same issue with like we were talking about with integration automation with the crews. It's also that, we're very localized. And so yes, we're on this global platform. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube and Facebook and all the things, right? But we're also we're part of a community in the triangle area. And so you're constantly flexing, both those things.
And so, one question, okay, a couple of questions here. In who is managing the content creation and distribution for the social media campaigns?
My beautiful wife does a great job at that. She comes from a sales and marketing background. And so that's really her forte. And
Hmm.
so we've got, again, we've got teams that great teams that do it. WebSpeak built our website and manage it and keep it up. And then we work with some other groups to on the social media side. And so she's
Hmm.
constantly working with them, either creating content, updating the content, getting it to them. So, and getting them like, what are we doing this month? What are we doing, next month? What are some things coming up? Showing people, here's the exciting design. You saw this design a few months ago, and now look, here it is, being framed up or controlled, which people love. I mean, that we love to see it, right? It's the exciting part of what we do, right? We take something that was nothing but an idea, on paper or sketch, and it, then becomes a computer model. That's one step that's exciting. And then it becomes and then it, you start to see it come up, out of the ground. And people like seeing that. And it's an exciting part of what we do. And we're very hands-on in that. So we're one of those last industries that, I know you can AI your gas station now and stuff like that, but um, when you're really talking about a home edition or something, you want that hands-on approach. So yeah, I think it's very traditional in how we get discovered and how we reach out to folks.
And so I'm curious with the limitations that you have geographically, if you were able to somehow drive, let's say, double or triple the website traffic that you're currently getting, and be able to get an influx of estimates or bid proposals, do you have the capacity to take on more work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the great things that we've got, is because we've got all these people supporting us, working together, our partners, our team members. There's a lot of capacity and a lot of capability, and it really comes down to what I talk about this with our clients or prospective clients a lot of times, is that as much as you're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you to see if we're the right fit, right? We want to make sure this is our relationship is very personal. We're going to be getting into your finances, right? Can you afford to do this project? And we're going to get into your how you live. You want a big shower? Is that because you got a Great Dane, or is that because you like to have fun in the shower with your spouse, right? And so there's there's a lot of, you get very personal, and so that is just something you can't get around. But it's as much about knowing what they want from you as you want from them.
And so what
And there's the phone ringing right
yeah,
now.
that's
There's
okay.
a perfect example.
So how many more projects do you think you would have the capacity to take on a per month basis?
We can. It's hard to say because it depends on scope and scale, right? So it's
Hmm.
like we talk a lot about, for us, if we are doing, $100,000 projects, that's more work than $1 million project, right? Because you're managing 10 sites, you're managing, probably probably a couple different crews, different scopes, things like that, as opposed to $1 million project, right? So, if it's 10 $100,000 projects, that looks very different than $1 million project. But is it a mix of $500,000 projects and $2 or $3 million projects, or a couple $500,000 projects and a couple $1 million projects? We've got capacity and we've got ability, and also a lot of times what we find is we're ready to move a lot faster than our clients are, because especially if they haven't been through the process before, they don't necessarily understand how many decisions there are to go from design to construction. And when you want to get cost surety, you've got to make all those. We can plug in allowances, so we can say, okay, based on what you're doing and what you want to do, here's a tile allowance, here's a kitchen allowance, here's a cabinet allowance, appliance allowance. We can plug in those appliances, but allowances. But until we get into those specific selections, we don't know. If there's a big difference between a Whirlpool Frigidaire range and a Wolf range. There's a big difference between a Whirlpool fridge and a Sub-Zero fridge. And if you start start the project by talking about a Frigidaire fridge, and we wind up going to a Sub-Zero fridge, your appliance cost is doubled or tripled, right? And so those are the things that we try to vet out at the front end. And so that we can build a budget that works to your parameters. So there's a lot of decision making that happens, and some people can make really quick decisions. They know exactly what they want, and sometimes they'll be working with the designer and they might take 3 or 4 weeks to pick a tile or a tile pattern for the bathroom floor. And meanwhile, we're doing other design work or other construction work or whatever the case may be as we can progress. So I always tell people, we're going to be waiting on you more than you're waiting on us.
Got it. And so if you were to think about, Jonathan, where you want the business to be 1 year from now, and the number one barrier holding you back from getting there, what is that?
Say it is probably the biggest challenge is availability of opportunity for our clients. So in that, what I mean is, I've got clients so part of our business model is, you have $1 million budget. You want to be in this certain part of town, and you want to try to find a house that's maybe $400,000, and we can then do a $600,000 renovation to it. And so what is the struggle is to find that opportunity that works for them to do an addition renovation that fits their budget, fits where they want to be, and there's not a lot of availability. We're in a low supply market here in the Triangle. And so when you get into that specific, location or, neighborhood that they want to be, to find that opportunity is the struggle. And then that opportunity fits within their overall budget. And so that's really the biggest struggle is what's out, what is out there that fits what they want, what they're looking for.
Got it. Okay. And how about in terms of when you look at your business overall and your different revenue streams between the architecture, the building, and the different parts of your business, a couple of questions on that. One, how does that break down percentage-wise? Where's your biggest revenue generator right now?
The biggest revenue generator for us is construction, just because of the volume of gross revenue for construction is definitely the biggest. And then from there is the architecture, and then the real estate. really the real estate has the potential to be the biggest, because you can buy and sell real estate and transactionally, and that could, in terms of gross dollar volumes, a $400,000 house, like in the example I was just giving, like let's say that real estate transaction's $400,000. Let's say the design fee is $30 or $40,000, and then the construction is $550,000. So that's so in terms of gross volume, the real estate and the construction might almost be 50-50, but they're two completely different work efforts.
Got it. And since you do not have the geographical limitations with the architecture side of the business, you could do that anywhere in the world. You could service those clients.
Yeah, and we really do focus just on North Carolina for the architecture, but yeah, we do design work all over the state, and that's also the nice thing about the model, is that we do some just real estate work for clients, we do some design work only for clients, and we do some just construction work for clients. And the process for us works best when we do all three. But a lot of times we'll partner. We'll do design work and partner with a construction company. And what they like about us is the fact that we're also a construction company, and we get compliments on our plans all the time, because they're like, man, this is a great set of plans, because you guys understand what we need and what we're looking for. And then and we partner a lot with other real estate agents, where we can go in and walk through with them and their clients to help them understand the design and construction process. Hey, they're looking at buying this house, they want to do da da da. Will this work? Can we do it? And we can quickly surmise, hey, you've got a impervious limitation here that's not going to let you do what you want to do, or you've got setback issues, or whatever the case may be. And we can evaluate that and keep them from buying something and then coming to us after the fact. We like to partner with them early in the process in order to be able to help them understand what the limitations of what they're buying are. And we're happy to do that. We love, collaboration and partnering, and we can provide, 1, 2, 3 parts of the Wolk 360 process.
And so if you were able to scale up the architecture component of the business nationally, and you were able to get 5 to 10 new prospects per month, would that really help you achieve your overall goals over the next, say, 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and you have the capacity to handle that?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a great team. I've got 2 architects that have, one is a mentor of mine when I was coming through, and then another one is someone I've known for years, and we've got 2 architects that have great capability and capacity. We've got 2 interns that are they're great because they're on that technological edge, right? And they're excited about how they integrate that technology. And so we've got and then we've got interior designers and then engineering consultants and things like that. So that's something that we grapple with from time to time. We've done some project, like I said years ago, I think we were licensed in like 30 some odd states and did work all over the country, and some international projects as well. And I think there's some real excitement and capacity about that. We're so busy, this area is so busy and people are coming here. It's the constant question of why travel to California for a one-off when you've got 4 projects here. With the wildfires in California, we've been reached out to about people saying, because they don't have capacity out there, right? Their firms out there are so overwhelmed with all what's happening and what's happened and the rebuild and the process that we've had some, old clients and people we've worked with that have reached out to us and, hey, can you help us out here? And we've been talking about that and it's been a constant discussion. Do we explore that? And is that more than just a one-off? Is it worth, exploring that out there and in other areas as the capability? And again, this is sort of another technological thing. Right before COVID, nobody knew what Zoom was. Well, now to have a Zoom meeting or a meeting like this with somebody anywhere is easy to do, and you can project your design and they can review it, and you can communicate it easily without having to fly across country or something like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interest in that. I think it's just what's the appropriate balance and what are the right projects to do that.
And so zeroing in on that ideal customer profile for you and the biggest architectural projects that get put in front of you, would it make sense to focus in on commercial prospects for commercial properties? What percentage of your architectural side of the business is residential versus commercial now?
If you count sort of, we're doing a couple of churches, an office building, we're doing some commercial fit ups. So if you sort of, I guess sort of dollar volume wise, it's probably about 50-50. If you just in sheer number of projects, it's probably about 25% commercial, 75% residential. But yeah, I mean, it's for us, is it something meaningful, impactful? Like you said, if you're looking to do a 300 unit apartment project, the part for us and something like that would probably be the right part for us would be like the clubhouse or the amenity center or something like that, something that's going to have that special touch or nuance. There's so many other firms out there that have better capability of executing 300 units. If you're looking to do an interesting renovation or conversion, we've done some hotel to apartment conversions. We've done hospitality all over the country. And, you're looking to do something unique like that, something, again, that's meaningful or impactful, that's not, a prototype or a cookie cutter. Those are the kinds of things where I think we can really add value. And so if it's converting a warehouse in South Carolina or converting a hotel to residential in, Minnesota or something, yeah, that's where we can bring a lot of innovation and creativeness to a solution that is worthwhile as opposed to just the standard thing.
So in other words, if it had the potential to get you featured on the cover of Architectural Digest, you're in.
Yeah, or where the yes, and where the owner wants where it's not, the owner wants an ROI, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also recognize that the ROI is from doing something special and unique. If they want to just get ROI based on doing everything the cheapest and buying their light fixtures from Wayfair, that's not us. If they want to go in there and do something meaningful and impactful and special, and we still, through that, we get them an ROI that they want and can achieve, then we're their guy.
Jonathan, is there anything specific that you wanted to highlight today in regards to your business, your goals, what's in front of you, where you want to take things, anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to highlight now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is for us is to look at what we do. And I think one of the key things about when people look at what we do, what they see is that our projects look very different. And it's because our projects look very different because our clients are very different. So we're not like example, Richard Meyer. I love his work, but you know Richard Meyer when you see Richard Meyer's work, right? It's the white buildings, it's sleek, it's glass. When the clients go to him, they know what they're going to get, and that's why they're going to him. When they come to us, our work our work shows our client as opposed to showing us. And I think when people see our website and they see the work that we've done and they see us on Instagram and Facebook, that's what I think what excites them is, hey, this project doesn't look like this project and doesn't look like that project. They all have a quality and a sensibility about them, but they don't look the same. And I hope that's what comes out when people see us. And I would say that's the biggest thing is I love to do the design. I love to bring out, help my clients and help my clients achieve their vision. Right. And we do that with skill and understanding. We do that, not just by going to the latest home show. We've been architecturally professionally trained, so we understand there's a long history of architecture, and there's a reason why certain things are done a certain way and why scale and proportion are important. And it's not just about the latest product from the home show that makes the house special. It's about how you accentuate northern light versus southern light, or the quality of the glass or the finished materials, or the structure of the building itself. And so I think the more that we can help people understand that and help them realize their vision through that, and it's a partnership along the way, then that's where not just we're successful, but they're successful.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Well said. Well, listen, Jonathan, I want to be respectful of your time. It's been a valuable conversation. Thank you for giving us a sneak peek inside your business, your goals, and what it really looks like navigating through the challenges that you're dealing with today. For our listeners, if today's episode struck a chord and you're wondering how to finally move on from outdated systems or broken processes, AI-powered automation is here, and the cost of waiting is too high. Reach out to Trust AI Partners for a free consultation. We'd love to help. That's it for today. Join us next time as we continue to uncover how AI is reshaping industries from the ground up. I'm Jim Hoover, and you've been listening to Trust AI Partners. Jonathan, final handoff where the audience can find you.
Yep, Wolk360.com, and we're on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok under Wolk360 and Wolk360DB. We've got a YouTube channel out there as well. Check us out. Let us know what you think. If you've got something that you'd like to talk through, always happy to jump on a call and talk to somebody about some opportunity or something you're interested in, or you just have a question about something you've seen. Give us a shout.
We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.